Have you ever opened your fridge, picked up a yogurt cup or a carton of milk, checked the date on the package, and immediately felt uncertain? Maybe it smells fine, maybe it looks perfectly normal, but the date says yesterday. And suddenly something that seemed harmless now feels dangerous. Most people treat expiration dates like invisible countdown timers. Once the date passes, the food is somehow bad. But here's the strange part. Many expiration dates were never designed to tell you when food becomes unsafe to eat. Today we're uncovering what expiration dates really mean. Right here on Common Things. Strange Histories. For most of human history, food didn't come with dates at all. People relied on experience instead. They smelled milk before drinking it. They checked bread for mold. They preserved meat using salt, smoke, or cold temperatures. Food safety was personal and immediate. If something looked wrong, you avoided it. But as cities grew during the Industrial Revolution, food began traveling farther than ever before. Factories started producing enormous quantities of packaged goods, and supermarkets suddenly faced a new problem. How do you convince millions of strangers that your food is fresh? That question quietly changed the modern food industry. Early expiration systems began appearing in the early 1900s, especially on canned goods and dairy products. But surprisingly, many of those early dates were hidden from customers entirely. Some companies used secret-coded labels meant only for store employees. Others avoided dates altogether because they worried customers would stop buying older products too quickly. And this created confusion almost immediately. Different companies invented completely different systems. Some used just sell-by's dates, others used best before. Others printed packing dates that only factory workers could understand. Even today, many shoppers assume all these labels mean the exact same thing, but they don't. A sell-by date is usually meant for the store, not the customer. It tells employees roughly how long a product should remain on the shelf. A best before date is mostly about quality. After that point, the texture, flavor, or freshness may slowly decline, but the food itself is often still safe. Use by dates are more serious, especially for highly perishable products like fresh seafood or deli meats. But here's the interesting part. In many countries, manufacturers often choose these dates themselves, and they usually choose them cautiously. Imagine a company testing a box of crackers. The crackers might still taste perfectly fine after a year, but after 8 months, they become slightly less crispy. Rather than risk disappointing customers, the company may choose the earlier date. That means millions of perfectly edible products get thrown away while still completely safe to eat. And the scale of that waste is enormous. Every year, households throw away billions of dollars worth of food partly because of misunderstood expiration labels. Perfectly good yogurt, bread, cereal, pasta, canned soup, all discarded because of a printed date that was often measuring quality, not danger. However, that wasn't the whole story. Some foods genuinely can become dangerous very quickly. Fresh meat, raw seafood, and unpasteurized dairy can develop harmful bacteria long before they smell obviously spoiled. That's why expiration systems became such a complicated balance between safety, quality, business, and legal protection. And surprisingly, modern refrigeration changed everything again. A refrigerator works almost like a pause button for bacteria. Cold temperatures dramatically slow microbial growth, helping food remain safe much longer than it would at room temperature. But even refrigeration has limits. Every time food warms up during transportation, delivery, or storage, bacterial growth can accelerate again. That's why 2 identical cartons of milk may last completely different lengths of time depending on how they were handled before reaching your kitchen. In other words, the printed date is only part of the story. Your senses still matter too: smell, texture, color, taste. Humans judged food safety this way for thousands of years before expiration labels ever existed. And in many situations, those instincts still work surprisingly well. So the next time you see an expiration date, remember this. That tiny printed label usually isn't predicting the exact moment your food becomes dangerous. Most of the time, it's simply a company estimating when a product is at its absolute best. What seems like a strict scientific deadline is often just a careful guess designed to balance freshness, safety, customer expectations, and business risk. And once you understand that, expiration dates stop looking like warnings from the future and start looking more like one small piece of a much bigger story. If this surprised you, give the video a like, share it with someone who would enjoy it, and subscribe to Common Things, Strange Histories for more hidden stories behind the everyday world. Because sometimes the most ordinary things hide the most fascinating truths.